on our social media platforms, SMS section. You can call us live. Tell us what it is that you think would be pushing you to require us to give you this cake this morning. Valentine's Cake House will definitely make sure that you get that. And by the way, they have lots of branches across the country, and so if you get this cake, you don't necessarily have to come to Nairobi. We can always organize how you get the voucher, and once you get the voucher, you march into any of their branches. You tell them this one cake that you want them to prepare for you, and they will do that. So karibu sana and take advantage of that. Hashtag Morning Cafe at Linda_Alela TV47KE. That's how you get to drop those comments and request Freddie to play you your favorite reggae music, and boom, we got you covered. So it is that time that we have this conversation. Remember, I started by telling you that we'll be having a conversation in regards to how you match your careers with your talents. You just got this talent. I'm told that you're supposed to say talented, not you. I don't know how you say it, but well, we'll get to learn that as we continue. So it is always important, and this is actually what is happening nowadays, that you just identify this one thing that you're good at. I know you could be good at a couple of things, but there's this one thing that drives you, and therefore as you choose your career, as you choose what it is that you want to do in life, it should be in line with that. That's where now passion comes. That's where so much comes. And we always say that choosing a career is not just about making money, it's about your well-being. So you can imagine a scenario where you're making lots of money, but you're not well psychologically, mentally, you are drained, you're not happy within your workspace. That's what we want to erase. So we want to give you simple tips, not necessarily professional tips, but tips based on our experiences as a people. And so I'll be introducing my guests in a while, so that at least they can also share their experiences. Some of them household names in this industry, and therefore you look at them and you're like, oh, kumbe, it is not that easy. Quite a lengthy introduction there. I think it's only fair that we get into this conversation. Gentlemen and ladies, allow me to break the rules because now he's the only one in the house. So let's start with him, Give him that honor. And he's seated right next to me, Gideon Zuki, who's the Regional Director, Hashting Solutions. What's Hashting Solutions? What does it do?
Well, Hashting Solutions is it's a marketing technology company. We work in the advertising and marketing space.
All right.
We provide brands and consumers with experiences just on SMS or on WhatsApp or on Telegram that allows them to connect.
You're right.
Yeah, so it's trying to simplify a very technical and diverse process. Yes.
All right, well, Karibu Sana, good to have you. Thank you so much for finding time to speak with us this morning. And the next person is one that I want to dictate how she's going to speak on set, because if I am not careful with her, she's going to take my job. She's a journalist like me, and therefore, you have to speak in low tones. You have to keep it cool so that at least my boss does not see you and say, hey, we're Mzuri sana, so we might just consider her. Caroline Kim, good to have you.
Thank you.
Salimia watu.
Habari yenu?
Okay, just that.
Yeah,
all right.
No, I'm a freelance journalist. I've written for The Standard, different products of The Standard Group, for Impact Hub Media, The Exchange. I've done TV production, production of features. Sorry about that. Just to touch on what you said, it's not possible to take your job.
No, I'm just
Our
kidding.
uniqueness, we are too diverse.
I know, right?
I know, I'm just saying,
just kidding,
that diversity of uniqueness gives us the confidence to be able to provide even ladders for others. Given the conversation today, I thought it would be good to just throw that in there, even as we wait to explore the subject.
I think when we were deciding on this topic, because we decided it with her, as I told her my story, my experience with my mom, when she kept telling me that media space, you're not going to get a space there, you're not going to get a job there, everyone is running into that. I was like, well, we are different, diverse in our own ways. Plus, anyway, the cake is too big, so just find yourself there. Somehow it will work, and somehow it worked. And today we are here. The next guest, we are told in media that it's very important to introduce yourself. I don't know whether she's supposed to be introduced. I mean, cameras on her and everyone is like, Helen, how are you?
Better than you. By the way,
Evidently
it's
better than me.
It's my birthday today, and it's
Happy
Valentine. My middle name is like Valentine, and yeah, that's the reason why you have to give me the cake.
That's cake.
No, I just love
You
cakes.
mean you got
I
it.
just love cakes.
You got it. You got it.
My birthday is in October. Nimesikia keki nikasikia
Ukasikia
raha.
Valentine's, ukasikia.
Please kapeni baterio keki. Yeah, anyway, my name is Helen Olivia Akoto Molo Nyarnyakacha. Bakine nakauoto tadwongora therefore. Mtawali azi nikitembea unasikia tu.
But when did you get into comedy, Helen?
Really?
That was not good.
Oh,
yeah. Are we going to get music today? Are we going to be, sung for a moment?
That's my middle name, yeah.
So
music.
tunapata mziki.
Hata saa hii ukiniambia nigonge na gonga sahani tu.
Si ugonge. Unajua reggae gani?
Machando pachi. Angome dwaro wachona. Sijui kama ninatoboa microphone.
Yeah. Oh, director wangu kam producer anasema iko sawa, ni kama tutaendelea na show, ni kama tutaimba tu. Ni kama tuimbe tu. I want to give you a random one, reggae. Yeah. Unajua reggae gani?
Yeah.
Cheza kama wewe.
Waka. Blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord. Oh, when you see me walk like this, my heart has got a stone. You wonder which kind of stone is the cornerstone that the builders rejected. Waka. I got a stone. Why? What up, man? You DJ Big up to the DJ.
For a moment, sometimes you wonder how these people get this to slots. Unasikia anything music, Helen is there. Yeah. So for a moment, you're thinking, am I industry biased? Honestly, from what it is that she does, the industry is not biased.
Experience.
It is experience.
Teaches you, man.
Yeah.
You get to every corner and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to fit in here.
Yeah.
What do I do? Yeah. And then working with university students, you know, you have to explore yourself, always reinvent yourself. Did I say my name? Helen Olivia Akoto Molo Nyarnyakacha.
And then you said more, something to do with that. All right. So
because I went to South Africa.
Okay. So you have the a lot of it, yes. I hope they are watching us today.
If your daughter is called, and you
know, it is very interesting. I've watched some of them present news in the, and you're like, and for a moment you even forget to listen to the content of it.
They're like, are you talking or you're just breaking glasses?
That's the point, She's been to South Africa. You sound like you've been to Britain. I don't know. But anyway, let's get to the conversation.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's good. Now, honestly, for a moment I wanted to ask him, unge kizungu tu ya Kenya, man, but yeah.
My number is 0722.
Hold it right there. So karibuni sana. It's good to have you this morning. And now that you spoke about working with university students, I guess this is specially and specifically meant for them, a conversation, but importantly meant for every other person who's felt like maybe they're not in the best of space. Probably they've not identified that kind of space that they would want to be. And I am told a couple of times that it's not always late to start, and therefore you could have been on this line, but for a moment you think no, that is not what I want to do. I'm not fulfilled in any way. You can always start. You can always decide that I'm going to law school at that oldest of age, and you go there and you probably get to find this one thing that you really want to do in life. And so let's get to the conversation, like we rightfully said, career choice, and is one conversation that we always have, left, right, and center. But when it comes to career choice, then we look at it in this current age and time in relation to talent. What would be your view in regards to that, Karen?
I think we are at a time where we are seeing a shift in how things have been done, and COVID just accelerated the need for people to awaken to that reality. We are at a time where we have to figure how to do things the new way, whether you like it or not. I was reading of a Forbes report that was produced pre-COVID-19, and the statistics were showing a clear shift towards the freelance space.
Right.
You know, we are having a larger percentage of people going into the job market, having to go into the freelance area, whether they like it or not, because that was the changing nature of business. Now with COVID, that was accelerated, you know. So I believe we are at a time where you have to look at what do you have. Look at life from inside out more than ever, rather than outside in. What do I have? What skill set do I have? And how do I sharpen now that which I have so that I remain relevant? You know, the days for just studying and then having your CV ready and then sending it out there, I think they're long gone. Not because you cannot get a job through sending a CV, but the odds now are lower. You have to create those opportunities for yourself.
Creation of those opportunities, hold it right there. And these skills that we're talking about, you don't just wake up and you say, boom, I have these skills. Well, there's some, like, you know, that talent. But and she will even tell you that in as much as you have a beautiful voice, you really have to work on it. Really work on it. So let's talk skills and developing these skills and saying, you know what, it's all right, I have these papers, but then here are the skills.
I just have to say, this is a very interesting conversation because I personally entered to study business.
Okay.
Then I ended up switching my degree to media.
All right.
Then I ended up trying marketing. So I ended up.
So these are the level of school.
Yeah, I ended up having all these different experiences. And the reason I'm even highlighting this is to say, as a young person, you're in the best time to try. To just try, because I think the discovery of where you fit is a process of trying. You have to put yourself out there. You have to try different things, find what excites you. You know, sometimes you think you're passionate, but maybe you don't even know what you're passionate about. Maybe you're just young and you have a lot of energy.
Right.
So you think you're passionate. But we gotta find that thing that really works for you, especially in those uni years. If you feel like, hey, these marketing classes, they excite me, then that's probably something you should pay special attention to, even as you discipline yourself by doing all the other things you're supposed to do. And then on top of that, beyond the skills, you have to start fostering connections. You have to learn how to foster connections in uni. So I say, on top of that, you have to have networking skills. So look for a teacher you admire. Start developing a relationship with them so that you can prepare yourself for the outside world. The third thing I would encourage is participation. Find extracurricular activities in your uni. ISEC, you know, these programs that are brought in, they're very helpful because when you start to volunteer and get involved, you develop other skills you wouldn't even know you had. And on top of that, you put yourself in a position to have a better CV, because the CV it carries some weight, you know? And on top of that, when people see those volunteer activities, those extracurricular activities, it's a signal that this is someone who is conscious about the society they're in, and they're also responsible.
Not to contradict what George says, Helen, but to just bring this aspect where you always say, it's okay, while you try to discover, please do not be a jack of all trades and master of none. And it has happened a lot. And with our parents sometimes, like I'll tell you this, lucky enough to have grown maybe around Nairobi, and therefore there are very many voices, you know, that are speaking to you, dad, and other, you know, other voices speaking to your sisters, your big brothers, your mother, and everyone is like, you know what, this is marketable. This is the place. I'm told now, go and study Chinese because Chinese people are coming in the country, and therefore they'll need people to, you know, take them around and all that. And I can tell you, amongst the few people who did almost everything trying to discover myself, well, I don't regret it, but I can almost tell you that even in, you know, the money that I spend and the time that I spend, sometimes I am not really a perfectionist on this angle, and therefore I ask myself, why did I have to do all that? Maybe I should have just identified that one thing and focused on that.
I like that, but our life is all about discovery.
All right.
Yeah, why do I hear Caro in your conversation?
Oh, okay, all right.
Caro in that conversation. Yeah. My way is to say that you be a jack of all but a master of a few.
Okay.
Jane of all, master of a few. Because the few, that's my story, by the way.
All right.
Because that actually explores what I do. I just discovered that I know how to do posters. Guys,
posters.
Yeah.
Okay.
And after I started a school online out of a need that arose, then I decided this guy is making posters, but
Did
I have
not.
some sense of art inside me.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, today I make posters. I ask myself,
Wow.
that's Helen, man. That's
Helen. Oh, that's
and
beautiful.
I know
you
if I
eh?
give somebody that work to do, they will not produce what I want.
Okay.
Because there's a sense of art inside me. Now let me say that it works differently for different people.
Right.
There are those who we call the gifted. Miles Monroe, the late, said, explore yourself. So there are people who this exploration works for.
Right.
So that if you have like 10 fingers and 10 sources of income, you have a cash flow through. So you're not
Okay.
bothering anyone with poverty.
All right.
No.
Yeah.
When
Because actually a bother.
my school, when I was working at DStv and classes had to go to, like we had to move to the digital platform. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't have experience, etc. But my music was still there until they cut music. Then I'm like, they cut this and cut this and cut this. What did I have left? I had to learn the digital. And before I know it, it was bigger than what I do.
Ah.
Bigger than me.
Bigger than the previous experiences.
Excuse me? Yeah.
Hold it right there. We take a
right
short
now,
break.
giving me the networks that he's talking about. Just recently, we brought in Solim Atlango. I cannot just meet him
Solim
like that.
Atlango.
Solim Atlango was a guest on my show, as well as Prophet Keke.
Wow.
They sing together. I was like, if it was any other day, I wouldn't even get connected to them. But through networks.
Networks, very important. We go for a short break. We come discuss networks. Just how important are they? Just how important is it for you to overlook your fears? And you know what? Just go out there boldly and say, hi, Helen, how are you? I've been seeing you. I love music, and this is it that I can do. What do you think? Can you help me in any way? After this break. Well, it's all about finding that place where your passion, your abilities, and your needs of the job market kind of meet. That's exactly what it is that we're talking about. But you know, interesting to note is that we also are incorporating in that the aspect of flexibility and the fact that it's all right, this could be your need at this moment, but you do not know what tomorrow brings. And therefore, if there's a shift on the same, how well can you adapt? We're still in that conversation on balancing career and talent and, you know, just getting yourself doing something that keeps you moving. Billionaires, millionaires across the world will tell you that you just cannot be doing one thing and you think you're going to be a billionaire. Mm-hmm. Talk of 7, you know, forms of getting income. Mm-hmm. And that's then when you can say that you have that financial freedom. And, you know, financial freedom is key. It brings aboard also that aspect of, you know, wellness. I mean, someone will tell you, yesterday we were having a conversation, it should have been Wednesday, about, you know, marriage and finances. And then we realized that 3/4 of the problems in marriage, finance. And so for a moment, when you have money, unashiba too, you don't even, unashiba, like literally, that's the thing. And so that's what we're talking about. Alongside Helen Mtawali, music performer, we also have Gideon Zuki, who's the regional director. We almost called you retired general. Ashting Solutions. And lastly, we also have Caroline Ken, who's Kim.
Yeah.
Right, I'm sorry. Why Kim?
I wonder who that came.
I'm at a minute. Why Kim? Why to see you? We're not taking that direction.
Yeah, just Kim is Kimashia.
Wow.
Kimashia.
Yeah.
Okay.
That sounds good. Equal man. I'm like, yeah, that's nice. This is where you guys are journalists. And so here we are. Jack of all trades, master of none. You brought on board this aspect where you have to be a jack of all trades. Some of us are reserved and we tend to think, just focus on this one and perfect it. So that when the market is being, this particular niche is being discussed, somewhere on the table, your name is there.
No, it's true. There's always something you're very well known for. But I think skills are like degrees. Kunaile, that is the hottest. Then kunaile, that is more like yellow. Then there's the one that's more green or blue, So you have to have varying skills for varying things. You can't just do the one thing you love because life is not like that, You have to do a lot of things you don't like to do. And that's where discipline is developed.
Okay.
So that saying, jack of all trades, master of none, it's a saying, actually, I'm so happy you brought it up.
All right.
Yeah, because people never finish that saying.
Okay.
There's a second half to that saying. Jack of all trades, master of none, certainly better than a master of one. That's the entire saying.
All right.
Yeah.
What do you think is better about this, Caroline, to imagine that you can be having all these numerous skills? I know Helen has shared experiences and it has worked for her. But there are instances when it just doesn't work and you tend to feel like, why did I have to get myself, in all this? Sometimes you even start condemning yourself and you're thinking, it's because I touched on so much now that I don't, there's really nothing that can come out of any.
I think one of the reasons why it's good to identify things that come naturally to you is that you will have a resilience to push beyond.
Okay.
As opposed to that narrative, get something that is marketable. If things don't go your way, you have no inner drive and inner push to keep things going. That's one. Number two, like Gideon mentioned, it is to your advantage that you have more than one skill. For example, I can write, I can produce, I can do a number of things within the communication sector. At some point I was like, am I trying to do too much? Then I sat down, I got a notebook and a pen, and I wrote, what things can I do? What's the broader picture of this? For me, the broader is communication. It's not the only thing, but it's the broader picture. So then I stopped feeling like I'm trying to touch on too much. And I'm able to see, so all these gifts can fall. I don't have to be a writer and only a writer. I can speak, I can write, I can produce, I can do all these different things. They fall under the umbrella of communication. I've tried so many things over time before I got here. And I'm glad I did. When I look back now, I have no regrets. Had I not tried, I'd probably have been like, okay, what if I had tried when I was younger? What if I had tried? I really don't have what ifs. Does that mean I've made all the right choices? No, I have not. But I just don't have those regrets. I'm like, I tried, I saw how that worked out. And I'm better now. I'm more skilled, I can do more. I can look towards a brighter future. So I think one of the things that you can do if you're feeling confused, just get a book and a pen, write down so that you're able to see with your eyes a pattern. Is there a pattern to this? What's the bigger picture with this? Are there things I need to drop really? Or really does this fit in somewhere? So I think that's one of the things that can help to remove that whole idea of, am I getting myself confused? Yeah.
All right, overcoming your fears. Because then I want to assume that, when we get to the aspect of skills, and interesting to note is that some of these skills you actually do not gather, professionally, where you're told go to school and everything. And in fact, you're going to school for just one thing. But out of that, you come out with so many things. True. But there's this one thing that is about fear and about not having that people, that person or people around that will always tell you that this is the direction, don't take this, don't do that. And therefore, sometimes there's that feeling like, you're in this alone. And you had better off overlook this one thing that you'd want to try instead of trying it and failing. And very many people are struggling with that today. I can tell you how many times I had my sisters, training me on music when the auditions for Project Fame, and the whole night they had to say, you have to go for this, you have to go this. And then when it comes to that point, I go there, I look at how beautiful girls are there and how many people are there and their guitars and everything. I say, no, I am not doing this, I am off. And true to it, up until today, I disappeared and I disappeared. And I disappeared. I regret, but to me, that regret is better than having to have gone there and failed.
I think for the musicians it's different. That's a different story. That's why they're called the gifted.
Okay.
So the conversations are changing. These guys of this era are very lucky because there are people who can direct them. Even my daughter, I keep telling her that, you know what, you're lucky I can listen to you. The day she's like, Mommy, you cannot beat me. Sit down and talk. I'm like, yeah, conversations are changing today. It's not like the way it was before. But this is what I like to tell people, even in my school, this is what we do. I'll ask people that if you want to be jack of all, master of
none.
Some.
Of some. All right,
yeah,
okay.
Even if it's none, you're still better than that person who was just doing one. You know. So I want to tell them that if you have discovered that music is your passion, look for anything around it. And apparently we have 5 schools, 5 disciplines that surround music: dance, drama, creativity. A musician will not be, look at any musician and tell me who is not creative. They are all creative in the way they dress, whatever things they come up with in their bodies. They're creative. Writing. Today we tell them songwrite. They are songwriters. They're those who know how to package their music in a way that you feel like those are the right words I need to hear now. And that's why we're flooding TikTok, you know. So when we identify those that are related, we get about 67 jobs. You can never tell somebody you're broke. Get to explore yourself and do something. And it might earn you immediately or it might earn you way later. But the thing is, you have discovered something that contributes to your financial kitty, so that you are not stressing us and you're killing poverty anyhow.
You're so big on this aspect of people stressing us with
because that's I am not an expert in mental health, but I've been called to forums to talk to people why celebrities are suffering. It's because maybe they just look at that music. Nimesa kuwa produce, nimesa enda kwa radio, ninasuka, ninakuja hapa ku drop them lines, and then sooner or later, Honorable President Uhuru Kenyatta says lockdown, and then you're dead. You're like, now you used to have money coming in, now there's no cash flow. What you gonna do? I tell them, in Baji don't even go to school to study. Some of them, I don't know, there used to be a conversation that Mwimbaji, that was the last resort.
Yeah.
And which is wrong.
Actually, that was
musicians are very
let's
smart.
Talk talent, by the way. Most of the times, that was the
That's part of the talent. Yes. And I tell them, package yourself in 3 things. If you want power, get knowledge. Soma mpaka mtu mwisho wa kitabu. Then get also money. Find ways of getting investing. Jeez, you cannot, it's mandatory. Find a way to invest so that when you have money, find a way to package it so that when there's no cash, you have something that save money so that money can save you. Last but not least, of course, there's God.
Yeah,
get to know God.
But
there's also one other thing. Make sure that whatever you do it uniquely. Paka uwe famous.
Ukikuja hapa, stand out.
Yes, stand out. Because ideally, what's making Facebook stand out? He identified something that nobody else identified. And we have capacity for that. Each one of us, you say that the sky is too black up there, but there are too many stars, there's still space. There's still space out there. So hata kama ukifikiria wewe ni mtu wa media ina gani, these cameramen, they're all different. Kuna moja anaweza kufunga macho moja, atoi nini kali sana.
I know, right?
Atoi kali sana.
That is true. Sometimes you're like,
how many DJs do we have in this world? Plenty. But imeingia hapo kwa room nikasikia muziki mwingine anasema,
I've had him. This should be the 5th time I'm having him. And this is due to public demand.
Yes, and I repeat, huyo DJ arudi no, I'm kidding. Hey, fungu la 20 ni yangu, ya 10 ni ya Mungu. Anyway.
That's true. That's really true.
Yeah, find a way. Everybody has space up in the sky. The stars are full up there, but there's still space for one more. So just know that you stand out, get yourself unique, you will still shine.
Gideon, positioning yourself and overcoming your fears is, that's one thing that really, in as much as you really think that you can do it best, there's always that thing that holds you back, and getting to a point where you can overcome it is quite huge. And sometimes you might think you have it proper, and then now you meet people who actually have it. And you're like, let me hold my horses for a moment, and you lose it completely.
Let me tell you, there is nothing abnormal about feeling fear.
Okay, that's good. That's
everybody, I'm sure everyone here has to battle that fight in the morning,
Yeah.
Yes.
when you wake up and boom, everything hits you at the same time. We all fight that. The key is in normalizing it.
Yes.
Okay.
So actually, I was having this conversation on Twitter with someone yesterday about, because it's more anxiety than anything else. You're anxious. You're worried about how things are gonna be because you can't see everything clearly, you know. But I was having this conversation with someone, and I was saying one of the best things you can do is to greet your anxiety.
Yes.
Like, hi,
Yes.
We're here.
yeah, morning. So yeah,
It's all right.
because it helps you make it normal. Then it's a normal thing. So you acknowledge, yeah, okay, I'm anxious. Nasikia, you know, nasikia to butterflies, nasikia to hivi, you know, kuna hiyo, are things gonna work out? You know, normalize it. It's okay. Everybody wakes up with those things because everyone has things to worry about.
Yeah.
I mean, for everyone who pays rent, if you're paying rent, if you're paying for your dorm, whatever it is, from the day you pay, that's only the moment you pay, you have
That's the
peace.
trigger. You
That's
have
it.
faith, yes.
After that, you're thinking
The fears
the next
again.
one is coming in
Yes.
4 weeks. So this is normal. So I tell people, just normalize it and push past it anyway. There's no one who is brave because they don't feel fear. They're brave because they do things past the fear. Yeah, so it's very normal. And in terms of packaging yourself and your skills, I say in uni, drop the pressure. You know, you're not supposed to have it figured out. You're supposed to be discovering.
Okay.
You're supposed to be figuring it out.
Yes.
So you're okay. If you don't have it figured out, yeah, you and 100% of the other people in your
Don't
class
actually don't.
are the same. Yeah. So it's fine. You're figuring it out.
Yeah.
Start to look for different skill sets, like I was saying earlier, you know, get involved in different activities, get involved in different types of classes, you know, develop a spectrum, and you'll be fine.
All right.
Yeah.
Settling for this one thing, and you say, you know what, yes, I have discovered, I have tried, I have done, you know, treasure hands and all that and everything, but I think this, and settling and focusing on that. That's one challenge that most of these people who are transitioning in life will tell you they go through. So how do you get yourself into that and, you know, just settle and say, it's okay, well, I realize that I can be good in, you know, in line with journalism, and within this umbrella of journalism, there's still so much that I can do.
I think some things are innate. You can even talk to a life coach, a purpose coach. They will help you to see certain things that you don't see, patterns about yourself that you don't see.
Right.
However, there's a level and a truth and a wisdom to navigating life that comes from an internal GPS. You can't explain it. I just know I should go left. Why left? I don't even have enough statistics to back why left, you know? And that is something that everyone who would achieve anything in life and be fulfilled has to learn using the internal GPS. So I think that's the other side, the flip side of this, that you can research, it's important. You can learn, you can see a purpose coach. It will save you tons of wasting a lot of time. However, there's a level and a facet of life that no one can teach you. You have to use that internal GPS. It's a bit of what Helen Tawali was talking about earlier, God. He put something in you that no one else can understand apart from you and him. And even you sometimes can't explain it using your mind. You just know. In my know, some people use that term, in my know, I know this is what I should do. So there are certain dynamics to life you really can't explain away. You have to just trust. You know, people say trust the process. It's an internal thing. So there is a facet to you have to have knowledge. You can't do without knowledge. But then there's a facet of that, using that internal GPS and trusting the gut. You know, that gut feeling that says, yes, this is the right move. This is the right move. Yeah, so I think those are, you know, that's the other side of the coin that you need to explore. There are certain things you just know, I need to do this, and you can't explain. But you have a deep piece about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And getting to that point, Helen, I think it's crucial because sometimes what the world says is very important. You know, to imagine that you would walk out of this place and say, you know, that was a very nice DJ, and everyone else says that, you'd be like, that's it. But what's important is that inner conviction, that fact that you acknowledge that indeed, I think I am good, because I have seen on several occasions how we struggle with these, syndromes of, what, am I really doing it good? The imposter syndrome and all that and everything. And therefore, how do you get to a point where you know that I'm well cut out for this? I am well cut out to be a journalist. I am well cut out to delve into music. I am well cut out to do this and this, be an engineer in life.
You breathe it. You have a passion for it, you breathe it. Like somebody will be invited to come for this morning cafe.
Sure. And then
They'll
be like,
panic.
yeah.
What am I going to say? What am I going to... Hey, oh my gosh. Oh, yeah, hey.
But sometimes you really don't want to. It just happens, it.
But if it's inside you, you don't even have to prepare. You live it. You breathe. Say, like worship. Inner help made audible. So you're actually making me audible. Let me speak out what's from inside. And that's the drive. That's the passion. That's the motivation. If you find it, it will be inside effortlessly. You just deliver. They call you to go and sing. You don't look money ati mnanilipa pesa ngapi hapo kabla nikuje to make emergency call. An emergency appearance. No, I almost ask them, that's what I've been waiting for. So you go there, let money follow you. I tell my students all the time, if it is inside you, you don't need a pay. Pay follows you. As in, drop mic.
Drop at once.
Yeah, get there.
That's true.
Prove that you have something that everybody doesn't have.
That is worth being paid for.
And then they will pay you. You don't even dictate. Sometimes I wonder, sasa nyinyi watu mnajua hata nikupatia 1 million sahi. Are you going to finish? I mean, you finish it and you will still want more.
Right,
so the
true.
thing is, discover what you're good at by what's inside. It will flow. Once you start feeling it, you feel the vibe. Unafikiri kunaambia DJ ukimwambia ati by the way tunaanza show saa 9 atafika hapa saa 7:30 ama ati ana set up kitu ya 15 minutes ana set up for 3 hours. You is a passion, man.
Yeah.
And you tell him, excuse me, get me some music from South Africa. He already had gone to do his research. He has it in his fingertips. So if something is inside you, you don't need to be told, excuse me, please, you do it. So that thing that makes you feel like you want to automatically just give it up.
But even as you do it, Helen, and I think this is a conversation we've had across, especially in this social spaces and all that. You know what? Don't again swell too low, because it appears as though you're selling.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
Hear me clearly. It's not about selling you low. I'm telling you that if something is done passionately, you will pay for it.
That's true.
Because I teach personally, and I teach, how many avenues have I taught? Everywhere. Until I tell people I can quote whichever I want to quote. I tell companies, pay me 300,000. They say, they don't have to argue, because I'm so good at it. But you utakuwa good at it kama una nafasi ya kufanya hizo vitu popote.
You don't.
Tafuta mahali mpaka wewe usikie ni kama burnout inakuja inakuita na jina burnout. Do it until you're so good at it, you want to quote any price that your head comes out, because you're too good at it.
Right.
You ask me, I just dream my company, DStv University. Nawapenda sana DStv. Calls me and say, Helen, like today they tell me, Helen, you have been voted, nominated to be the MC for today. From here, I'm going to MC at DStv University. I MC everywhere apart from DStv. Always MC everywhere, but not DStv. But today, probably they've had word, and that's what I like. Tasker Project Fame, when Tasker Project Fame came, I didn't teach music at DStv. I was teaching anything else. But until I discovered that I loved music, I taught everywhere apart from DStv.
Wow.
Today, DStv honors me because of that. Do it like there's no tomorrow. Do it as unto God. Because God is your payer. He will open those avenues, and then you can have the privilege of quoting whatever you want to quote. Because corporates come in and I tell them whatever. My brother used to tell me, Helen, ulilipisha 20,000 last time, tafadhali. Sahi fika 100. Tuone kama utafika. And they said, no, Helen, Tasker Project Fame, when they came to ask me, I had quoted 200 for them. 200, Acheng laughed at me that way. But then she told me, you know what? You have value. I taught for Tasker Project Fame to look for me, I taught music everywhere else. Everybody want that what is it I had? So when Tusker Project Film came, Acheng said, that's the woman I want.
Wow.
And when Acheng was told now, ask her to quote. Unajua Tusker
ilikukuotia mapesa.
I didn't know I got such value.
I know.
For the first time, long time ago when we were growing up, you get some money and you're like, my gosh, when I grow up, I want to buy 35 chapos. I want to buy 69 chipos.
They come flowing.
Sodas, nitazikule.
So izikiwekwa hata umeshiba. What we started by saying.
I don't even eat chipo, but I'm telling you, the joy of knowing that people can value you and actually be able to pay what you want them to pay you for because of the passion you do, whatever you do it. And me, I go to an event. Tony Matlangu told us, I go to an event, I give my all. That's why you call me here. Ukinikiongea kama nimefunika room yote. I'm giving it my all. Give it your all. Whatever you want to quote, you will quote it and companies will honor you for that.
Man, branding. But when we're coming out of this place with something, and sometimes it's good to hear it from the horse's mouth.
Yes.
Someone who's been through this path. Yes. And you for a moment, you're like, these things happen.
Yes.
And you do it, and
love it for the passion of it.
Someone told me, whoever contacted you for me was like, Helen will show up. It's like, hey, because you see, we are yes.
You are too good.
Producer wangu when I said
for you, people tell me, Helen, do you have time? Like, they fear you for that. I'm like, that's it. That's it. Because when I do it like somebody who has been paid so much by God. Because if I do it as unto God, I will give my best. Totally. By the time I leave, you wonder,
you will remember this woman.
And that's where uniqueness comes in. Because you don't want to do it like anybody else and be kawaida. You will establish your uniqueness. You will give it your passion. And that is what will motivate you. By the time you leave there, somebody feels like, wait, who is that? I walk amongst the youth. By the time I leave, the youth are like, I thought she was 24.
24 until you die.
Maybe seen the 24 years old and it's over 97,565 days.
Let's look at Gideon. Gideon, branding. Now that you spoke that you're in that space, branding yourself, packaging yourself, what she says, in a very unique way, adapting to the market space today and making sure that yes, you stand out and you stand out professionally for that matter.
It's actually very much what Helen is talking about. It's a spirit of excellence. You have to give people what they think of you. When you walk in, you're a blank slate. Yes. You are the one who determines how they think of you, what they think of you, by how you present yourself, how you speak, how you articulate what you're trying to do, how you understand what they want. So for example, let me speak to a young person who wants to enter corporate. You go to this bank, you go to this bank. Do you know you have to present yourself differently in both of those settings?
Okay.
Why? You're going there against so many other people to sell yourself. So you have to adopt the culture of that interview.
Okay.
You have to figure out, how do these people talk?
Yes.
We have YouTube. Just watch one of their seminars, watch one of their talks, listen to how they speak, look at how they're all dressed. You'll notice there's like a culture. So if you want to sell yourself to them, you have to look like them, you have to be like them, you have to talk like them, you have to walk like them.
All right.
Yeah. If you're trying to maybe do an artistic presentation or sell something to them, you have to learn their brand.
But as you do it, how then do you also have this special thing about you? Because you always told, get into that space, but please do not try to impersonate.
Exactly. No, now that comes out with your skill. And
now
your
this
gift.
extra thing that, all right.
Yeah, it comes out in your skill, in your gift. That will show. So you're not trying to become something you're not. No. You're just presenting yourself in a way that appeals to them.
Yes, do your research.
Yeah, do your research. You must. You must understand, what is this brand like? Okay, if it's a bank, do they do planting trees campaigns? Do they do this? So even when you're tailoring your CV, you look for the things that look very familiar to what they want. And you'll make sure those are the ones that are strongly standing out.
Right.
Yeah, what is their philosophy? How do these guys think? What is their mission? What did they just do? You know, you can walk into an interview and be like, by the way, congratulations on becoming the biggest bank in the country.
Wow.
You know, I read your report.
Ooh,
You know,
yeah,
I've
they're like,
seen what you're doing, and I really think that's awesome, and I hope I get to be a part of it. You know, there's ways you can talk to people that break down those barriers.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
All
so
right.
you have to do your work. You have to do your
Research,
research.
yeah.
You have to own your gift, own your talent, let it shine for you. And then also make sure that that person understands that you value how they do things and
How
what they do.
things, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, making choices, especially at this point, and we're talking to very many youngsters who just cleared high school, and therefore not all of them will have been called to universities, and even if they're called there, you know, sometimes there are times where you have to make choices and say, you know what, this is it. And it's all right, like we all agreed, it's that process where you're discovering and all this and everything, but even as you discover yourself, there's some things that you like at that point that would get you where it is that you are. I'll tell you for free that I really wanted to be in the, you know, this space of communication, and therefore, much as my mom wanted me to do whatever, I'd say, you know what, I'll give her that, but at the same time, I'll work on what it is that I think I am really passionate, you know, about. And so, how then do you develop this art and skill of understanding that this is what it is that I'd want to go to school to do, and this is what I'd probably want to do for the rest of time?
I think I can give 3 pointers. They're not exhaustive, but they're just guidelines.
Right.
One, take some time of personal reflection. Even look at your own report card. You know, it doesn't work for everyone, but it works for most people. For example, for me, when I cleared high school, I really didn't know what I wanted to do, to be honest. I didn't know my gifts, I didn't know my talents. I just knew there's a course that is marketable that I should pursue, you know, which was a very wrong mindset, at least for me and for the path that I needed to take. Because like you mentioned, there was this whole perception of mass communication and journalism is a very saturated market. So it did not fall under the category of something that's marketable. So I went to see a certain lecturer and he looked at my grades and he was like, you should go and study either journalism or mass communication, something along the lines of communication. And I looked at him and I was like, no, because I was thinking, I want to do business. I have no idea why, you know, I had that mindset. But there's something he saw with his experience and his age that I could not see, my young self could not see, just by looking at my results, you know. The other thing that I applied along the lane of life is sitting down to actually do what I just mentioned earlier, reflection. I can write, I can speak. So I wrote those things down and I asked myself, where can I start with this? I didn't actually start by studying journalism, by the way.
Right.
I first studied procurement.
Wow.
Then along there I was like, oh God, what did I do? You know, yeah. You know, and then you get to third year and you realize this is not where my life is headed. I eventually need to make that switch to communication. You know, you see, so that is one, personal reflection. Two, there are older people that can act as coaches. Three, talk to an actual career coach or life coach if you have the privilege to do the same. Those are 3 pointers that can really help you in terms of taking practical steps towards understanding what course you should pursue. Sometimes your peers don't always have the best of advice. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. You need someone who's more mature.
You listen and you pick what it is that works for you.
Yes.
All right, we're closing it down after this short break, and it's going to be different. We'll cross over to the other side. I don't know how many of us can dance, but we have to at least appreciate her and listen and dance to her music, right?
Yes.
So we'll close the conversation from the other side where the DJ is. That is after this short break.
Okay.